I'm not just saying to throw people by the wayside and just be like, oh, he's, like you said, like just judging them and saying they're this or they're that. Like, try to help people, if you can. Of course. But you also don't need to abuse yourself, and you have to realize at a certain point you can't help somebody if they're not trying to help themselves. And it's certain people that just like everybody struggles with something, and everybody I think needs like a certain amount of grace with certain things. But at the same time, you still gotta be willing to like help yourself.
All right, guys, welcome to QFM Podcast.
What's good?
What's up? You got your man Giff here.
Oh. Yeah, Kenny J, what's good?
What's up? Damn, that joke just fell on. Shoot.
Right. You're gonna have to run it back.
Facts. Don't run it back. And then we got our special guest. What's your name, man?
613 Cinema, aka Ray Okafor.
Is that a gang or something?
Ain't no gang, it's my sole proprietorship.
Hey man, you look familiar, bro. You used to have
Facts.
locks.
Yeah, I did, man. Last time I was up here, I had locks. I cut them off. I felt like I had a good 4 years, and I just wanted something different.
That's crazy.
I had a good 4 years. It was a good run, man.
Yeah, it was good.
Both of y'all had dreadlocks at the time.
We did. We really did.
You had more than me, though.
Yeah, mine was like all the way down to here.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. That was too much for me.
Mm.
Nah,
it was just time, So, like, is it me or, like, did you have, like, some kind of difference in, like, I guess, people that, like, treat you, either work or, like, just in general? When you cut them?
I work in a more like artistic space, so those kinds of people are probably not gonna like. They're more accepting of maybe something different. Like if you have dreads or like whatever hairstyle you have, they probably not gonna judge you too much. So it's in my field of work, I didn't really notice too much. I thought I would for whatever reason, but nah. Did you?
Not really. Like, I'll say this. So, I never had any issues with, like, my hair as, like, a anchor to getting the job or, getting clients and stuff. Mm-hmm. But when I did cut it, I felt some kind of, like, change. It was not, like, in a good way, but I think that, like, people kind of interacted with me more. A prime example would be like I was at this dealership at Westgate Dodge, and this dude, he had like arm tattoos and he had locks, right? Not like the regular locks, just like the Wickeds ones.
Oh, the Wicks.
Yeah.
Kodak.
Yeah.
No.
It's like Kodak, but like a little bit longer.
Okay.
Oh no.
So he obviously, like, when you see somebody like that, then you're not gonna really be as appealing towards, I guess, your demographic or who you're trying to sell to. But when he told me this, like when he cut his hair, he felt some kind of shift in it. Like people took him like more serious. Yeah.
I mean, I can see that. I would probably never cut my hair off for somebody else, like in terms of like profession wise, but
that was a long pause. Dang.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like what I would say, like just changing your hair, right, and just like cutting your hair, because like you're kind of like the Boosie, kind of like our, kind of like a regular guest here. So like what I would say in this sense, like when you cut your hair, what was that change for you?
Like personally?
Right. Any type of change, really.
I feel like, man, I went through college. I just went through like a bunch of different stuff in college. It was good and bad. And I didn't necessarily cut it just to, people say it's like a spiritual release of just stuff you went through. Like when you cut your hair, they say it's like more of a spiritual thing. Mm-hmm. For me, it wasn't that, but I kind of just want to start over. Like I just graduated, bro. I just graduated college. I went through all the stuff I went through, like good and bad stuff, like I said, for 4 years. And I was like, kind of want a new start. But yeah, man, I really just wanted something different. And I liked, because for most of my life I had this haircut. Well, it was more like a brush cut before I grew it out a little bit.
Like waves and stuff.
Yeah, and I was just rocking that for about few years. And I grew accustomed to it, but I just decided to just go back. It's just more comfortable.
Right.
With dreads, like, or locks or whatever you want to call them. This is what I was gonna say. This is what I forgot. So when you go to work, I feel like as long as you take care of them and you put them in a presentable style, then it's not an issue. But if you go in there and it's all like dirty and they look ashy and unmoisturized and it's just all over the place, like you're not taking care of them, I think that's when it's an issue. Exactly. I guess it just depends on the employer, but even me, like I would never go to work with my hair just any kind of way. Like I would go out the house looking like I respect myself, and I feel like that's how anybody should go out the house, regardless of their hairstyle, whatever.
Right.
I feel that.
And that's like, I think I had a little bit like a reverse maybe. Like when I was a kid, well, it was back and forth, but when I was a kid, I used to have braids. I used to have like man buns and stuff like that, like ponytails. And
a ponytail?
Right, when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Everything. And then when I moved to North Carolina, and then like I got haircuts because I was so tired of maintaining my hair, because when you got a lot of hair, there's a lot of maintaining. And then when you go to college, when I went to college, after high school, I was like, let me grow out my hair. And I grew out my hair, just trying to figure out what was going on. I like that. I want to get it up to that length or down to that length.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you cut it down?
Mm-hmm. I want to cut it down like that. It's a lot easier to maintain compared to
definitely
having to, and it looks better. Yeah. I feel like it looks better.
Because when I had like the dreads that came all the way down here, it was a lot to manage, because like you had to do retwist, put them up, and like one,
it's expensive. Like you might as well,
and it's like time consuming too.
Right.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
When I cut my hair off and I went to church first time, a bunch of the men, they're like, bro, I like it better that way, to be honest. And they weren't even hating. They were just like, I think this like really suits you. And me just getting older, not even just from my hairstyle, but in terms of the way I dress. Like I just want to dress more like a man. Like I'm not that college student anymore. I'm a young man. I wouldn't say that the three of us are just like grown men yet, but we young men, so I feel like it's a certain way we should dress. I can't be walking around like no high schooler no more, bro. Like I gotta look professional for real.
Adulting sucks. That's all I gotta say. Adulting sucks.
What part of adulting sucks? Or what parts?
I feel like the craziest thing is just like everything comes with a price in a sense. Like hair, right? And then when you're moving a certain way, or bills in general, like it's just a lot of things that come with a price, if you get what I'm saying. And so the more you're growing up, the more accountable you have to be for certain things. Like, don't you feel like once you got out of college, that was that thing?
I would say things, so like outside of like products and goods, I feel like there are other things that cost. Maybe not like finance wise, but like maybe relationships, they cost something, like of your time and your peace and your availability, like all that type of stuff.
Right.
Have y'all like dated since you
post graduation?
Yeah, post graduation. Like how's that been? Like you ain't gotta get into all like the specifics.
Here this guy go. Here this guy go.
No, for me, like it's cool. I think like I move a little bit different now, because I don't want to just be in a situation where it's not going anywhere. Like I feel like when I'm either vetting a girl out or I want to like get to know her, it's from the perspective of like doing it long term. Mm-hmm. Like being in a situationship it's cool for the moment, but then eventually it kind of like gets old and you want to figure out like what you guys are, know?
Or that other person does. That's the other thing too.
Yeah. Like I feel like it's a time clock. Like you got 5-10 seconds before like they figure out like, what are we?
Right.
If they start asking.
I feel like for me, it's a lot to juggle. I feel like it's great because you have a guarantee. Like whatever, you don't have to go out as much. You don't have to wear the best clothes, right? Because I think we all do that to get the opposite sex or to get the person that we're trying to attract. And so I just think that when you are in a relationship, you start to kind of like ease those things down a little bit. Like you getting a haircut, that's not a big deal because you already got what you wanted, right? Or in a sense of like you working out, things like that, that kind of like that importance of it goes down because you already have what you were chasing for. Everything that you're doing kind of leads to that point of being in that relationship.
Do you think you should still do that regardless?
No, you should. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm just saying in the aspect of like us guys, when we get into a relationship, we're like, okay, kids, house. You see what I'm saying? A whole bunch of stuff. You already got it. Because you already, respectfully, we already doing that anyways. Like, we do all that stuff to get that person anyways. If you get what I'm saying. So
you get them, but how you going to keep them? Like, are you just going, like, I think you should still, like, apply
of course.
effort. I'm not saying you're not saying
right.
But I would say, like, in my last relationship, and I'm not trying to like speak bad or not, but like when I was like dating, I was losing weight. Like I was like working out and like still getting stronger and stuff and like more fit. So I think mine is like the opposite for whatever reason. Like I noticed that kind of like during and after. I was like I was not getting bigger. I was not like there are certain things about myself. That
but it also depends on who you with too.
Yeah.
Because I was with prior to the girl I have now, I was with somebody that was like, she was military and all of that. And I was going to the gym like every couple days. You know what I mean? So I can understand that. Sometimes it depends on who you with to kind of like get you that motivation to keep going forward as well.
Do you think motivation is more important or discipline is more important?
Discipline.
I would say motivation. Wow. I would say that. Because you got like before anything, like just because you have the vehicle doesn't mean you have gas in the car. Right? So that discipline, that could be that vehicle, right? That could be that kind of that structure that gets you to places, that keeps you grounded and leveled. But if you don't have the motivation to do so, then that discipline kind of wears off. So you kind of need somewhat of that fuel for you to even do that in the first place.
Doesn't the motivation automatically come from discipline?
No, because you may not be. I mean, you're not motivated. You're not motivated by discipline. I mean, you are disciplined, but that could be for a different reason. You could be disciplined because of a religion, or you could be disciplined because something happened with your parents, right? So, like, that is the motivation. The motivation is the cause of you being disciplined.
But the thing is, like, for motivation, like, anybody can have motivation. Like, hey, I want to strive to be a millionaire. I want to get this car.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
But, like, people aren't putting in the discipline to actually, like, put that into fruition.
When I wake up and, like, I try to, like, when I wake up, just do 100 push-ups. I don't have motivation when I wake up. Like, I don't have motivation to just wake up and just do 100 push-ups. Not, like, straight, but, like, in sets. I don't want to do that. So, but I know I want my body to look a certain way. So when I wake up, I just get to doing it. Because it's the discipline making me do that. It's not the motivation. Because half the time, like, when I go to work, sometimes I'm like, man, I don't feel like doing this or doing that. So why
do you go to work?
Yeah, pay bills.
That's the motivation.
Yeah.
That's the motivation.
I don't know. Okay, you can say that.
But the reason the motivation is a reason.
Yeah, but different. I feel like different parts of life, you're not always going to have motivation.
Right.
Like different scenarios, you might not have motivation. Like, yeah, but even though, like, some people, yeah, they need to pay bills, but they're like, oh, I'm not going to work. But I think that's when the discipline kicks in, because you might not be motivated, but you need to be disciplined enough because you got to pay these bills. You're going to be living on the street. So,
then you just made a new one. You don't want to be living on the street.
Yeah.
You see, that's the motivation. The motivation doesn't always have to be something.
But is that
positive.
Is that the right word? Is motivation the right word?
That's my definition, but I don't know how other way.
What would be that other word then?
I don't know if it's motivation. 'Cause I feel like motivation has a positive connotation. So that would.
Well, I see what you're saying,
you know
too.
Saying?
But at the same time, you could be like, yo, like maybe I'm thinking like you could say like, okay, like just how you said like, oh, motivation is like out of the street, right? You are motivated maybe and not in the context, but you don't want to be out on the street. You see what I'm saying? You rather would be whatever working because you're not out on the street. Maybe that's a negative reinforcement.
Or fear.
Right.
Like, I have a fear of this, so I'm going to do this instead. So
but that fear can motivate
you. It could be a
too.
fear for motivation.
Right.
That's something to look into.
Dang, what we talking about?
Yeah.
So, speaking of motivation and discipline, right? Speaking of that, the main reason why you're here, one of the main reasons, is your short film coming out called Out of My Hands.
Yeah, out of my hands.
Out of my hands. So that's actor here. I'm just joking. But
my boy in the film.
Facts. He said he's in the film.
I got him in the film. I wrote his parts. Yeah.
No, really, what made you get that film? Like, what made you?
It's a whole story, bro. Cause me, I think I know I'm funny and I do my skits and stuff, but I wanted to take it to another level and make something, just how do I say this? I feel like there's just another level. Like there's me making these shorter skits, and then there's some another level of me making something bigger, like a fuller video with more meaning in it. So I was like, so basically the synopsis of the film, the short film, is there's a guy who works at Walmart and he loses his job. He gets fired because he's on some nonsense. And once he gets fired, he has a girlfriend and his girlfriend has a brother who works at an apartment complex. So I feel like I could have explained that better. I feel like I was all over the place. So basically, let me start over. So there's a guy who works at Walmart. He loses his job, and in doing so, he's not able to pay his rent, so he gets kicked out of the place where he stays. And then he has a girlfriend. He's not gonna live with his girlfriend because he wants to be able to get it on his own. He doesn't want to just be relying on other people, because his whole life he's been relying on other people. He's not been able to be self-sufficient. People don't respect him as a man. So his girlfriend has a brother who works in an apartment complex, and since he lost his apartment due to not being able to pay his bills, he's trying to beg his girlfriend's brother to get him in an apartment. And her brother does not respect him for past incidents that they've had. So that's really the synopsis of the film. Just someone who's struggling and not making the best decisions. So.
Have you guys ever had a friend that was like that?
I had a friend that would get jobs and just lose them. I'm why? I don't feel like going to work today. It's why? Why are you, in college, I had a friend who was he was working off campus, and a lot of my friends are working on campus, so it's only a certain amount of money you can make. You working off campus, you making all this money. I'm happy for him. I'm like, dang, I'm trying to get in that position. But he would just keep getting jobs, and he just wouldn't go into work. He was like, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like doing this. I'm like, yo, what are you doing, bro? You could be working and saving money and doing all this stuff, but you just, why are you acting like that? Yeah. And I've had other people around me that aren't really, they may not make the best decisions, and it's just it's saddening in a way, because you see somebody who you think has potential, not even just potential, you just see somebody you care about just making bad decisions, and it's why are you doing this? So, I've had situations where that separated me from that person, and it feels like a death, because we friends, and depending on how tight you are, how close that bond is, if you lose a friendship, it could feel like a death.
Right. You're not talking to him no more, really.
Yeah, you're not talking to him no more, or maybe you put up boundaries, and
they're not respecting.
They're not respecting them. It's dang, bro, I don't want to do this to you, but I got to do it. You're very reluctant, and it just sucks. But it's part of growing up. It's part of what, adulting. You got to put up boundaries, bro. Yeah.
What's funny is that I'm glad you said that, because a similar relationship between two brothers or good friends. It was Nicky Jam and Daddy Yankee. So these two guys, they pretty much came into the reggaeton game together. So this was early 2000s.
I didn't even know that either.
Nicky Jam, he always had trouble struggling where it came to drugs, alcohol, smoking. He pretty much had that growing up, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily his fault, because the problems were hereditary. In the documentary, you can see that his mom had trouble with it, his dad had trouble with it, his uncle, aunts, everybody in his family had trouble getting sober and making sure they're on the right path. But there was a point in time where Daddy Yankee was look, man, I gotta stop rocking with you for right now. You keep spiraling out of control, and if I keep tagging you along, I'm probably going to be in the same pocket. And I can't do that because I have goals and aspirations for myself, and that discipline is going to get me to that point. So I just can't do that with you right now.
Yeah. And there's some people who, like, I'm not coming from the perspective of I'm just like a perfect person, but you notice things about people if you're around them long enough.
Yeah.
And some people just like play victim, like, oh, I've had this, and this happen in my family, so I'm gonna just end up like that. It's like, nah, bro, like, you have the power to make certain changes in your life. You don't just need to say, oh, I'm the reason I am because of this person or this event or that event.
Right.
There's a phrase, it goes like, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. And you got to just learn how to respond to life because life happens to everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
But a lot of people, I have a different opinion on that just because, like, everybody can say, and this is what I realize, right? Just certain decisions that you make, everybody's going to have judgment. Everybody. Regardless if you're doing something that may be right for you, regardless if not, right? You have to be kind of selective on the advice that you're getting, right? Just because you may feel like you're doing good, you may feel like you're doing okay, but everybody else is saying that you're not.
Give a situation.
Huh?
Can you give like an example or?
No, I'm saying like so when you talk about like I guess like just the fact of, you know, the skit, right? And I was saying we had a friend that struggled, right? So a lot of people want to place judgment on that person struggling, but some people may have not been there. Just ask for somebody. Just ask for somebody that could get you in that position, but you can't really judge both places unless you've been in them. If you get what I'm saying.
No, I do. I would also say, like, I'm not just saying to throw people by the wayside and just be like, oh, he's, you know, like you said, like just judging them and saying they're this or they're that. Like, try to help people, you know, if you can.
Of course.
But you also don't need to abuse yourself, and you have to realize at a certain point you can't help somebody if they're not trying to help themselves. And it's certain people that just, like, everybody struggles with something, and everybody I think needs like a certain amount of grace with certain things. But at the same time, you still got to be willing to like help yourself.
Absolutely, and I feel like that's just what it stares down to, because like everybody want to give solutions, but are you helping that person, right? Are you helping that person out of that struggle? Have you helped that person prior? If you get what I'm saying, so it's just that it's hard, and this what adulting sucks just because people are judging your position, but they're not in it when you're making those decisions.
Yeah.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
They get to judge what you do, but they're not there to make that decision.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's just that, like, now you're, especially when you haven't had role models that taught you something different, right? So it's kind of hard when, as an adult human being, some people may not have that role model, that consistent father figure or mother figure to kind of guide them through the way. That's what makes it rough. Hard.
Like, coming from where I come from, like, not my life specifically.
Where you
my,
from?
My
Where
experience.
You from?
That doesn't make it sound like I'm from the streets. Like, nah. I went to school at Eastway High School. Right. A lot of them kids, their mom did. They being raised by their grandparents, like their friends, their brothers, their sisters. They locked up. People in their family just dead. So it's like they're raising themselves, or you know, they just struggling financially, or they just like caught up in a bunch of like violence and just bad situations.
Right.
Like I feel for them. Cause I don't know what that experience is like. You know, I grew up with two parents.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what it's like for them to grow up without a mom, or just being raised by their grandparents, or seeing, like, I had some friends that, I wouldn't call them my friends, but just certain classmates I was cool with. I had one classmate, he got shot in the brain, bro was dead. Like, I done had like friends die and just friends get locked up and stuff like that, and just like, dang, bro, just like knowing where they come from. Cause now I look back, I don't want to say I look back, but just people who graduated from Eastway, a lot of them are dead, a lot of them are locked up, or they just not doing great in life. Exactly. And I'm just thankful to God that I am where I am, because, you know, I could have ended up like that, but it's just tough, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and every other week it seems like I get an alert on Facebook that somebody died from East Wake. And I'm just like, bro, like, what's going on? It's ridiculous.
And so it's just like no one can't really tell you how that is. Like we're all of our life. I mean, mind you, you could give advice, you could kind of console or consult, but it's so hard because all of our lives is very different. It's not completely the same. If you get what I'm saying. That's why it was really good that you made that skit, because it's really out of your hands. Because it wasn't in your hands to begin with. If you get what I'm saying.
To an extent. Because I could have kept them jobs. My character could have kept them jobs.
Right. No, I'm saying the other person that you're asking help from.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, that's crazy, man. That's How do you feel about it, man? How do you feel?
I don't know how I'm laughing about it.
You always laughing about something.
Bro, I'm just a happy person, bro. I like laughing, bro.
That's good.
I like laughing.
That's good, man. That's good.
No, I mean, it's relatable because, like, even some of my friends from high school, they either dead by, like, either accidental or, like, just gang-related stuff, and they're just either in jail or they end up in a bad situation because they either hanging with the wrong people, they're at the wrong place at the wrong time, or they were just dealt a good card at the beginning. So.
Right. And so I was going to say, what type of, like, within that skit, what type of friend are you? Like, what type of person are you within that skit? Who do you relate more to?
Probably Gifted.
Who's
probably
that?
the guy. So Gifted is the one who is being asked for help from. He is doing well financially in life, and he's like setting his career. And Namdi, the main character, is the one who's struggling, and he's facing the consequences of his own actions. But it's easy to relate to him because of the points we made.
Exactly.
About seeing people struggle in our personal lives. But I'll probably say I relate more with Gifted because I've been on the other side of like trying to help people.
Right.
And it's more of like when I see someone who's down or who's struggling, like I don't look at them and be like, oh yeah, you suck. Like you're beneath me. It's like, dang, bro, like I want to help you. I want you to do well, but you just, sometimes you see people continually making just poor decisions, and it's like, how much should I exert myself into like helping you before it's like I need to back away.
Right.
And I think that's the hard part. Is learning when to walk away, not just from like relationships. I think people say that a lot about like toxic relationships. You need to learn how to walk away. But every situation in life, you got to learn how to walk away, bro.
Right.
Like you just got to learn how to walk away.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of, I would say like there's a lot of times to where like even in that skit, I think, I think I could relate to the person that Namdi is putting on to, just because like I want to be as reliable as I can, right? I want to be as reliable as I can. I want to be able to help somebody. Like just seeing somebody, like, I could put them in a better position in any way possible. That's the best thing you could do to somebody, right? And so we often kind of look at that mentality now to where it, like, oh, if you do this for me, what can you do in return?
It's transactional.
Transactional.
Instead of just being like,
right?
Loving and like giving. Just
right. I got you. But then for the ones that's giving as well, you got to watch out for the people who love to take and don't get anything in return. We all have been in friendships like that. We all have been, everything comes with a cost.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Everything comes with that price of what you going to do for me. You see what I'm saying? We all have been in that position before.
Do you think that's why most relationships fail? Or not most, but why a lot of relationships fail? Not even like, we can do dating or friendship.
Right,
or both.
Right.
We gotta take a quick intermission. This is about to die.
All right, hold on.
That's why I say so quiet.
We about to be back.
One sec, guys.